Never has been the case. Here's the problem. You just said that 1,000 detainers were actually followed through on, while 5,000 were requested. That means 4,000 illegal aliens who were in custody for another crime, not a federal crime, were released. Excuse me, if you're going to interrupt me, I'm going to keep going. So I would like to know, of those 4,000 people who were released, can you confirm every one of them had been arrested for a state crime initially, and were not there because the feds had pulled them in just because they were here illegally? Is that accurate, that you only have arrestees who were arrested for committing state crimes in California? Petty theft, robbery, burglary, rape, on and on and on. Thank you.
The 1,000 that are turned over, and there's certain criteria. 5,000 detainers that we received, correct? 1,000 that were turned over. There's certain criteria that we have to meet. SB 54, they have to meet certain crimes. If they don't meet, then they get released. Number two, a lot of inmates that are in our custody will end up going to state prison. They go to we don't honor that detainer because state prison they take them there, CDCR. If they have a warrant in another county, they open a warrant, or they get extradited to another state, and then they'll go there. So a lot of those individuals is not just that they didn't qualify under SB 54. There is other things that we would release them to another agency, CDCR, any of that. But are that they just don't qualify under the law.
They're illegal.
Yeah.
Hello. Continue this way. What are the criteria?
Yeah.
I would like to just clarify a few things. There was a lot of information put out tonight, and I can guarantee I won't retain it all. But what really jumped out at me is everything that was read tonight, with the SB, all of these SB 54, all of these things. To me, it appears that what these have done is basically put obstacles in front of every single law enforcement agency, and that all of the illegal aliens are the ones who are benefiting by all of these things.
That's right.
We the people who have to live here with this are basically victims.
Yes.
That's right.
So
We are a nation of laws.
So I want to know, first of all, we're talking about having that Glendora be a sanctuary city. First of all, this city, the infrastructure will not support a sanctuary city.
Nope.
Thank you. If you look at transportation, housing, the whole thing.
Be quiet.
It will not support a sanctuary city.
So quickly for the entire group, this evening's conversation is not about sanctuary cities. We're not talking about becoming a sanctuary city.
Yes, it is.
It's not a city
Yes, it is.
meeting. There is no official action.
Yes, it is.
And I should add,
and with
there's never
that-
been any discussion of the city being a sanctuary.
Is there a specific question?
I have a question.
It's a de facto.
Good evening, everyone. Buenos noches.
Where do you live?
English. Yeah.
Excuse me, please. We ask you remain respectful and not yell out from the audience. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to know first, when publicly did the City Council of Glendora notify the public and agendize the item that they voted on, SB 54, on May the 8th? Prior to that, in the closed door session, when did they do this publicly, notify the public that they're going to vote on this matter? And secondly, why did Council Member Boyer and Council Member Eloise, why did they vote against having this town hall meeting? Thank you.
Because they don't need it.
This evening, as was stated in the rules, we will not be discussing about the city of Glendora. It's a topic of learning on SB 54.
Shut down.
Yes, my name is Jose Calderon. I'm president of the Latino Roundtable. I'm also professor emeritus at Pitzer College. This is both to Anita Lee and William. You mentioned secure communities, and prior to its termination, secure communities operated in California at great cost to California, both financially and otherwise. According to a report prepared by Justice Strategy, Under Secure Communities, California taxpayers spent an estimated $65 million annually to detain people, and they found that a number of people who were detained were not in this category of criminals. So isn't SB 54 about stopping the entanglement of state and local public safety resources, which, San Dimas recently decided we don't want to spend our resources doing the work of the government, and actually opted to just stay out of this. So my question is, isn't SB 54 about stopping the use of these resources to those functions that are primarily that of federal immigration officers? And isn't it not in the interest of local cities to get involved in this issue if SB 54 right now is constitutional? And if you would opt out, wouldn't it be in violation of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and subject this city to civil rights lawsuits as is happening right now in the city of Alameda?
Threats.
So those are all great policy arguments on one side of the litigation issue. As far as I know, none of those issues were litigated in the federal district court and haven't been resolved. I expect that they will be argued at the Ninth Circuit level. Those are policy arguments. We're not here tonight to take a position for or against state law.
SB 54 law right now?
SB 54 has been ruled by the federal district court to be enforceable, except in Orange County, it is not enforceable if you're a charter city. So that's the current state of the law.
That's for all cities, charter cities.
We'll move on to the following question, please.
Not for charter cities.
Is it true that within SB 54, the category of domestic violence would not allow you as a sheriff, your department, to cooperate with ICE or to turn over based on a detainer? Are people convicted or illegal immigrants convicted of domestic violence exempt because of SB 54?
No, 273.5, which is domestic violence, is a crime that we would
Wobbler.
turn over to, right, could be a wobbler, but
It is a wobbler.
it is a crime that can be turned over to ICE.
Could be.
But you're not required. It's totally voluntary on the sheriff. It's voluntary. You don't have to.
Correct.
You just decide. And does your department turn over?
Yes.
Jesus. Uh-huh.
Yes.
So even if it's a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not in compliance with SB 54. I'm glad you're doing it.
We'll go on to the next question, please.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah. Felonies only.
so if it's a misdemeanor, they get released onto our streets again.
Excuse me, sir.
I have a right to clarify that.
My question is for the city attorney,
You see that?
and I'm aware of the rule, the last rule, but I want to remind us of why we're here. Why we're here is because we started a petition in June, where citizens, not everyone, we all didn't agree, but where residents and citizens of Glendora raised a concern about our city, behind closed doors, deciding to join the amicus group. The issue at that time was that the fact that a city would speak for all of us. As private citizens, we have a right and responsibility.
Where's the question?
Oh, I'm right and responsibility to fight for the laws that we think are correct. The problem was having the city. So here is my question, Mr. Attorney. Throughout the summer, you reported and the city council reported that in fact the intention of sending the amicus brief was not to lend the city's support in the litigation against the state of California. That you were merely trying to encourage the courts to act quickly. Here is my question. Given that the amicus brief that was actually sent on 2 lines specifically says that this is in support of the opposition, supports the federal litigation.
Good.
And given the fact that courts have now ruled, will the city refrain from resending an amicus brief or any declarations in their official roles as city council persons?
So let me answer that question because it's a 2-part question. So first of all, no amicus brief was ever submitted. What you have there is a motion for permission to file an amicus brief. And our role in that brief was limited. We were a party, the city became a party to a number of other cities and municipal jurisdictions, each of who had their own unique positions. Had the amicus brief actually been filed with the federal district court, we would have been certain that the Glendora position, as articulated in the brief, which was never filed because the court wouldn't allow us to intervene, would be to say, we urge a prompt resolution of these issues. So that's point number one. Point number two is way above my pay grade. That will be the city council's determination, but I can tell you that there are now enough amicus who have filed briefs with the Ninth Circuit on all sides of the issue that unless the city council in its infinite wisdom decides to take a position, there is no need for the city of Glendora to take a position because all sides of the issues are going to be fully litigated by all interested parties, including 15 of the adjacent states to California.
Thank you.
We'll be back here, and then I'll make my way towards the front.
Okay, I got a quick few questions here. First, I think the lady over here, she mentioned the supremacy clause, but I believe you forgot to mention the Immigration and Nationalization Act of 1952, which is also still federal law, which states that anything that stands as an obstacle to the accomplishment and execution of the full purposes and of Congress is banned. So I would like for you first to address how the Immigration and Naturalization Act doesn't overpower the state law. And then what that leads me to is the estimated costs of all this. If you're looking at right now, the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals is having a full en banc hearing in regards to if the federal government can withhold funds from sanctuary cities. If they rule that they can, there will be a disagreement between circuit courts, the Ninth Circuit and the Seventh, which will then go to the Supreme. And with our great Justice Gorsuch and our great Justice
Kavanaugh. Yeah, Kavanaugh! Go, Brett! Love Brett.
You know, I have only one interesting comment about justices and their tenure on the Supreme Court. Earl Warren was a Republican nominated by a Republican president who became the most progressive justice in the history of the Supreme Court.
We didn't want your comments, we want his.
Excuse me. Last part, and then we'll hop to Miss Lee to answer the
See
first
how
part of the
biased he
question if she has the answer to that.
just in response to that, gentleman.
Last part of the question, please.
Okay. Well, I also believe that those people weren't appointed by Donald J. Trump, the God Emperor. Okay.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far.
So the answer to your question is that federal statute does say that. But that's not the governing statute that controls whether or not that state statute preempts state law.
Yes, it is.
Supremacy clause of the Constitution.
Baloney.
So that will have to be litigated, but here's what one federal judge said, all right? I'm not the federal judge. Don't shoot the messenger. This is what the judge said, not what I said. And that is, refusing to help is not the same as impeding.
Yes, it is.
That's a circuit judge, though, right?
Excuse me, sir, please. Sir.
No, absolutely not.
All right, we'll move on to the next question.
Can someone explain to me, we have a law, a federal law, harboring subsection 1324A1A in the books. If anybody in this room harbors an illegal alien, we will be arrested and prosecuted. So my question is, what makes Basura, De Leon, and the Governor Brown exempt from that law?
Oh. Yeah.
Great question. I would encourage you to litigate that in the federal district.
That's not an answer.
As it relates to SB 54, thank you for your eloquent and elegant explanations of every one of your major areas. I went on www.ilrc.org/chart and I found that California illegal alien criminals now get charged with lesser non-deportable crimes. Partial list, which is from 32 pages, as it relates to the crimes that are now SB 54. Okay, these crimes include human trafficking, prostitution, massage parlors, child pornography, drug possession and sale, arson, burning, malicious, reckless, gang member, receiving stolen property or vehicle, operating a chop shop, vehicle taking, permanent or temporary, possession of weapon with intent to assault, driving without a license, driving with suspended license, DUI felony, DUI causing bodily injury, hit and run felony or misdemeanor, reckless driving with injury, throw object into traffic like tossing large rocks, boulders into windshields from overpasses, etc. Because this city has not taken a stance formally to oppose sanctuary, with the new law that was passed, the set of laws that was passed to formulate 32 pages of less than 365 days in jail penalties to allow the not to be deported, etc., and not to be subject to all this SB 54 stuff. How is this city and the environs going to handle these miscreants that are dumped out on the street because they're no longer deportable for all these horrible crimes? And there's 32 pages of them.
So that's a law enforcement issue that I don't deal with, but I think one of the issues that you need to be aware of is that the website you went to is a public interest group litigating a particular perspective on this case. So
I understand that.
So be aware of your source material.
Well, this is not early. This is actually written by a lawyer who gives information.
We write all kinds of
well, it's written by a lawyer to teach and educate people that commit crimes and their attorneys how to dumb down their aggravation, their crime.
That's right.
Good evening, thank you for your. My name is Fernando Flores. I'm a student from Citrus College. My question to you is, well, I'll start with the statement first. The legislator found that the Values Act was necessary to maintain trust between local officials and immigrant communities, and to ensure that members of those communities continue to report crime, seek health services, and attend schools. But by refusing to give effect or validity to the protections of the Values Act, doesn't it deny cities of protections that the California legislature deemed vital to the health and well-being of all Californians?
Look at it, they're
so
scripted.
That is the legislative finding that the state used to exercise its police powers to adopt a series of the state sanctuary laws. The question is, does that state interest have to give way to federal interests under the Supremacy Clause of the United States?
Yes.
That's the issue that's being litigated in the state sanctuary laws.
Yes.
So a court could very well say, you know what, California, your statement of legislative purpose, the statement that you are acting to protect the health, safety, and general welfare. By the way, one of the ways that local and state governments have the power to regulate is through what is known as the police powers. The police powers is a term of art. It doesn't mean law enforcement powers. It means powers to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of the city, the residents of the county, or the residents of the state. So that is the statutory, that is the policy basis under which the state of California has acted. And the courts will either accept that or accept it, but say, notwithstanding that, the federal interest under the Supremacy Clause of the federal Constitution trumps the state interest, and I don't mean that in a presidential way.
But we're okay with that.
And we're back here.
How you doing? My name is Eric McKellar. My question, kind of a general question. It's a couple questions. First, I was a firefighter for 33 years, captain of Station 97 in Glendora. We covered everything from Santa Fe Dam all the way to Crystal Lake. And these people that are released, a lot of them live in that riverbed. A lot of them do, and that's why they keep being set on fire all the time.
Oh my God.
And the professor had mentioned something about the resources being used and being used up. So I know a lot of sheriff resources, local police resources, fire resources are being used to, the paramedics were right? The firefighters were basically their hospitals because they don't have anybody else to call. So they call us, and there's resources used on somebody that's got a boo-boo on their elbow or whatever, while somebody else has got a heart attack. Or the resources from the county hospital, and I've been to the county hospital many times, taking patients in there, and they're inundated with people. Don't know how many of them are illegal aliens, but I'm assuming that because a lot of them are being released from these jails locally and from the county, that there's a lot of strain on the resources. It costs a lot of money. So one question I have is, because it seems to be the thing lately with the Democrats up in Sacramento, they tax the hell out of us on everything.
Yep.
So are they going to plan another tax increase to pay for this AB 54 and the infrastructure that's going to take care of all these people that get released back out in the population? That's one question. Financially, who's going to be responsible for that? And ultimately, I kind of know already. The second question is, since all these people are being released out again, and I'm not saying that they're all horrible people, but by definition, they're criminals because they're here illegally.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sheriff is the one responsible for letting us have concealed weapon permits to protect ourselves, and I'm wondering if that law is going to change, or if that policy is going to change in the sheriff's department to allow us. I've never been arrested. I've never had a drunk driving ticket. Nothing's ever happened to me. I've never done anything illegal. I served the community for 33 years, and I cannot get a concealed weapons permit.
And that's wrong.
So there are two questions there. I can answer the first question. The answer to the first question is the price of freedom is vigilance. November the 6th is coming up. And as we like to say in Chicago, vote early and vote often.
Register with me if you need to. I got ballots if you need to register.
Hello, my name is Bill Elliott. I just filed a statement, and I want to have a question for the commander. More Americans have been killed, murdered by illegal aliens than died in the Vietnam War. Okay? That's really offensive that you're laughing at that.
That is offensive.
God bless those brothers and sisters that died in Vietnam, but God bless our brothers and sisters here, the innocent Americans that were killed.
That's right.
By illegal aliens.
Amen.
And what I want to know from the commander is when you are releasing 80% of deportable illegal aliens, how do you look in the eye of the wife of David March? Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff David March, his family misses him. Kate Steinley's family, they grieve for her loss.
Right.
And Jamil Shaw was brutally murdered, also by an illegal alien gang member. And I want to know, how do you deal with that on a personal level?
Thank you. Well, I'm not here to talk about my personal opinions. Unfortunately, we do have to abide by the law of the state. I do agree with Marsh, and, and what's occurred with those families. But one thing I want to make clear is that all individuals that detainers are placed on doesn't necessarily mean that they're here illegally. A lot of times ICE just doesn't have information on them, and they place a detainer on them because they have the right to do that. And then eventually when they interview them and they talk to them, they find out that they are here legally, and then therefore they're then released back to the community. So not all 5,000 of those detainers, because there's a detainer, means necessarily that they are here illegally. So we're not, when we're releasing somebody, we're releasing them to the custody of Department of Homeland Security, to ICE. Could be that a week later they're out on the street because they were found to be here legally. And it's not for us to decide whether they are or not. It's for them to do their investigation and decide whether they're going to deport them because legally or let them go.
Thank you, Kim Sorgente. I live in the neighboring community, and we want to know if this panel is aware of what's going on in this room. Like, as far as people's true intentions, I believe women. Now, 4 out of 5 women that come across that border are raped. They're sexually assaulted. And so There's more. This is not enough. This is not enough. We need more.
Whoa.
Because this is a travesty. What's going on here? I want to ask you if you're aware that 4 out of 5 women coming across that border are raped by the coyotes, are sexually assaulted. That's not the way to get into this country. And this is what we're here for. We're here for our country, and we're here to get a wall. We want a wall.
Yes. Nice and tall.
And anybody that laughs at that is a sociopath.
Yep.
Sir, please, rules.
Oh, now they care about rules.
Hello, hi, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and also thank you to the speakers. My name is Evelyn Robinson. I'm a Los Angeles born native to California. I actually went to Citrus College, and I have all my credits from Citrus College and actually lived in Glendora. With that aside, I would like to talk to the lawyer, William Widner. Sir, do you believe in our Constitution? The U.S. Constitution. With that, sir, do you believe that everything should be followed by our Constitution, every single law?
I do.
Okay, and with that, sir, because our Constitution has laws and rules, do you believe that when illegals come here, that they are criminals when they cross that border?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you believe that, sir?
That's not for me to determine. That's for
Whoa!
I am not a law enforcement officer. I'm a lawyer.
Wow.
And I don't enforce the law.
Fire the attorney.
I provide legal advice.
He gave bad advice to Rancho Palos Verdes too. Told him not to do anything.
Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me. Next speaker, please.
I'm just going back, and that's what I should everyone remembers one thing. Kate Stanley was murdered by an illegal alien. Thank you very much.
Extranjero.
So yeah, my question is, when someone gets taken into custody and they have dollar bills on them, if those dollar bills are counterfeit, does every law enforcement officer decide, oh, it's a federal thing, so we can't touch that? We're not impeding on the federal government, but we're just refusing to comply with that. Why is that the case with what we call money, but when it comes to counterfeit Americans, no one's concerned at all?
That's right.
You guys act like you serve us. Yeah, you're forward with your views and what the statements of these agencies are. Yet none of you are willing to really enforce what the real law is, and that's to have real Americans in America. I think Americans should be first in America, right?
That's right.
They can't break into Mexico. Yeah, go ahead and get him.
My name is Jeff Merrick. My question is for the Sheriff's Commander. In a nutshell, does the Sheriff's Department or the Sheriff himself, as their spokesman, support SB 54? We certainly are a law and order crowd here in Glendora, and I'd like to know what the Sheriff's Department's stance on SB 54 is.
Yes, the Sheriff, as we talked here earlier, SB 54 in its original form, the Sheriff did not support SB 54 prior to its signing, and we had extensive meetings with the state, the governor's office regarding SB 54 and trying to balance the community and the security of the community and also abiding by federal law. And that's where SB 54 eventually was signed. So in its current form, yes, we do follow SB 54, and that's what we're currently doing right now.
Okay. Okay. All right, fine. So I think I can keep my sentiments clear about this. First of all, to bring it up to speed here, the Sheriff's Association still opposes SB 54. Okay? That's Kern County all the way to Modoc.
Question, please.
Okay, so there's been some issues. I'm very alarmed. We had the commander here say that domestic violence perpetrators would still be turned over to ICE, but then there's a distinction. I could see it over on the side. He had to correct him. If it's a misdemeanor, they get released onto the streets, including those who commit sex with a minor. They get released back to the streets as well. So the questions I have are, charter cities can become exempt right now. So the first question is, when are the Glendora residents going to become a charter city? And the second thing is, it's really clear from this city attorney to others, they're tipping their hand and don't want to do work. So I would say to city council, when are you going to fire this city attorney who seems more interested in protecting an agenda than doing what's right for the citizens?
Thank you, Arthur.
He did that to Rancho Palos Verdes. He told him not to do anything. I was there. You're a scumbag.
Sir. Hey, please.
Shameful.
I don't think that's a question, so we'll go to the next one.
When's he gonna be fired? That's the question.
My name's Eva, and it's really more of a comment also. Back in the late 80s, we had Prop 187. I think it passed over 90-something%. And then, of course, the Democratic Socialists of America probably tied it up in court for years.
That's right.
But then we have Jerry Brown going past, the Value Act, this act for all the illegals, SB 54. What do we have to do as citizens, honestly, to turn that tide back, to take our state back? Right. I mean, is there something we could do legally to make it work?
Vote him out.
You can elect representatives to change the law, but you also have the power of initiative. Proposition 6 is a classic example of the power of initiative.
It costs $5 million.
Yes, my name's Robin Bitston, and I'm with the Remembrance Project. We honor American citizens that are killed by those in our country illegally. And I'm wearing the shirt of a man who was among 5 Americans killed in a fire in Los Angeles by a man illegally in our country.
Question, please.
This man had been in the custody of law enforcement for breaking the law, and he was released, and his crimes went to the level of that he killed 5 Americans. This man has a loving mother and a 2-year-old child.
Please answer the question.
Who are heartbroken. We as citizens want to know why people in our country illegally are released back onto the streets to commit crimes. I would also like to point out and ask, the people in our country illegally in custody, most drunk driving offenses are plea bargained down to misdemeanors. You can only be turned over to ICE for drunk driving if it's a felony conviction, correct? All other drunk driving illegal aliens that have been convicted are released back onto our streets.
Thank you.
And most drunk driving is plea bargained down to a misdemeanor, so they're being released.
That's what's happening to lots of crimes. Lots of crimes.
Question. 13 Americans are killed by drunk drivers who are illegal every day.
Yes, Ms. Lee, you say you're a nonpartisan office, partisan are you? By that I mean, can Jerry fire you? Did you have to make Jerry happy to get your position?
Oh.
Did you lose your position?
Good question.
Did you get a new executive in office, as we're hoping John Cost will take over?
Yes.
The Legislative Analyst Office is actually, we report to the Joint Legislative Budget Committee, and so they are technically our bosses. We do not report to the governor's office.
Who's the chairman of that committee?
The chair is Senator Mitchell from Los Angeles.
Liberal Democrat.
The committee is made up of members of both the Assembly and the Senate, and it is also made up of both Democrats and Republicans.
Is it even?
No. I am not, off the top of my head,
Really?
I don't know the membership of the committee. I cannot speak to the decisions of the committee. The Joint Legislative Budget Committee is a committee like the other committees of the legislature. Our office is nonpartisan. We have made recommendations that have not made our bosses, the members of the legislature, happy. When I say we are nonpartisan, we make our recommendations based on data that we have in front of us. And sometimes that includes recommendations that are not popular.
And we're over here for this next question.
Okay, my question is for Anita, and I'm not totally sure how to phrase it, so I'm just going to kind of
hope you get what I'm trying to ask. How much money is put back into a community when complying with SB 54? Does that question make sense?
Zero.
So your question does make sense. Our office is divided in kind of multiple sections. I am in the criminal justice section. We've got sections on state and local finance, health, etc. Immigration is one of those issues that crosses multiple areas. I don't think it comes to any surprise. Our office has not done a robust study focusing on immigration. There are public interest groups, stakeholders, civil rights groups, academics, etc., that have done some of these studies, and those are something that are certainly consulted. I think the challenge from a data perspective is that you have, as some individuals talked about today, you have the impact on law enforcement, but you similarly have to kind of weigh that with the impact on the economy, for example. I think another gentleman on this side kind of referenced it. And so from our viewpoint, if you're going to do a nonpartisan analysis and you're going to evaluate that, you kind of have to weigh the multiple pieces. And when you talk about something like immigration, there are many moving pieces. It crosses multiple policy areas that you then would have to figure out. And it is not an area where there is readily available at this time robust data. This is one of the areas, there are other policy areas where it's also true, where there just isn't a lot of data. And so it becomes an issue of looking at what other studies are out there and trying to figure out how you can kind of do that assessment or evaluation. I don't know if that answers your question, but.
And before
There's one other thing that I could add to that. State mandates which impose funding are something that the state must reimburse localities for. So if a locality feels like a state mandate is unfunded, there is a procedure by which it can litigate and obtain reimbursement for state mandates which are unfunded.
And then we're going to move on over here. And if you could raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question if you have not asked one yet, and then we will go for round 2 for those individuals.
I have a comment that I'd like to make, and then I've got a question. We are a nation of laws.
That's right.
Please obey our laws. Everybody. That includes illegals who are in this country illegally. My question is, I wondered why De Leon named the law the Trust Act. Or
That too.
Or Trust Act. Who are we supposed to trust? The illegals coming into our country, murdering American citizens? Who do we trust? We can't trust them, so we need to trust you, the lawmakers, the lawyers, law enforcement. That's who we have to rely on. It's your job. And of course, the politicians in Sacramento and in DC. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has not had a chance to ask a question yet who would like to ask one? And then I will go back around for round 2. We'll start back here with round 2 then. Sir.
Mike Perry, resident of Glendora since 1993. So it's estimated that at least 25% of all illegal aliens in the United States reside in the state of California.
Yep.
And that 10% of the labor force in the state of California are illegal aliens. The law of unintended consequences says that if the courts decide that all of these 3 California laws are illegal, are you at all concerned from the state perspective that then the federal government will very much send the resources necessary and purge the state of California of a number of illegal aliens without the help of the state of California, and actually have the opposite intent of what all of these laws were designed to do? Because that is very much what could happen, and I think would happen, because it's the greatest concentration of illegal aliens are in the state of California.
Yep.
So I would ask, has that ever been considered at the state analyst department from which you come?
Bring it on.
I would just reference back to this gentleman, the gentleman who was over here. Our office has not done a robust study looking at immigration.
Wow.
Wow. The policy that the state chooses is a decision made by the legislature if you hear the discussion in policy committee, you certainly can exercise your right to go to Sacramento or to talk to your elected officials and have the dialogue with them. When I say we are nonpartisan, we are nonpartisan. We are not a part of the debate in terms that they're having on the floor and in the policy committee. Those are your legislators, your representatives that are having those discussions, and they do have their own viewpoints.
Hi again. I just a quick comment and then a question. Again, a resident of Glendora for over 30 years, I want to thank each and every one of you that are here. I want to thank the city council, even the one person that I think voted wrong, because I'm proud that I'm a member of this community, because I know you guys stuck your neck out when you threw this on the agenda. And I think it's an important issue overall. Commander, I want to thank you for your service. You're kind of getting beat up. Retired law enforcement officer, I know you do what you have to do. You don't have a choice to put your personal, spin on it. You got to do what the laws say to do. So that's where I'm standing before you. We got to change the politicians in Sacramento.
Yes.
Some reasonable laws. And my question is, Ms. Lee, how much has the state set aside? I've heard $50 million to protect illegal aliens who are in the process of being deported. I've heard the state is going to provide legal assistance against the federal government. Can you speak on that issue?
Tax dollars.
I actually can't speak to that issue because funding that's provided for immigration-related purposes are actually scattered throughout the budget. And so my area is criminal justice. So for example, the discussion about AB 103, that is something that I'm familiar with. In terms of the funding for undocumented or individuals, I am personally not aware of that. I think that that's something that my colleague actually handles, he's not here. I am happy to follow up with you if that's something that you're interested in. We can circle back afterwards, but that's just something that I am not aware of at this point.
Thank you.
And we'll be right down here.
Thank you. Again, thank you for your time tonight. But as far as SB 54, AB 103, and AB 450, everything I've heard tonight is a complete travesty. Don't you agree? I don't expect you to answer.
Didn't answer.
A complete travesty.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment and then see if you could respond to it. And I think I'm legitimate in saying this because of the issues that have been raised. There's actually a number of studies. One of the most recent one is the Marshall Report. You can find the Marshall Report in the New York Times. It compared a crime rate in 200 metro areas over the last several decades. And it found that, in fact, in 136 metro areas, almost 70% of those studied, the immigration population, although it increased between 1980 and 2016, that crime actually went down.
Not reported.
And the study shows that, in fact, immigration has the effect of reducing average crime.
Yeah. Lie!
Hey, excuse me, if we could please have some respect. Thank you very much. Hey, sir, please.
Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
No relationship between the two. In general,
bullshit.
Studies suggest either that immigration has the effect of reducing average crime, or that there is simply no relationship between the two. This in the New York Times. The 54 areas in the study were both instances of coincidence, no cause and effect. And my question
The New York
is,
Times. Really?
If in fact, the studies also show that undocumented contribute $13.1 billion in local and state tax.
Yeah, that sign's perfect right there. Yeah.
The studies show that if they were allowed to, in fact, legalize, that they would really add to the economy. With all these contributions and this implying that they are criminal.
They're criminals.
Question, please,
Yep.
sir.
My question is
Yes,
that in
ask-
terms of these statistics,
Pregunta.
shouldn't places like Glendora and these other cities where these people are coming out against immigrants,
Deport them all.
shouldn't they continue to profess?
Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me, please. We'll end the meeting if the yelling continues.
Shouldn't we reaffirm those core values of equal treatment, community,
No.
family, unity, and common humanity?
What about Kate Steinle?
Sir, I'm sorry.
That this city's doors are open and kept open for all our communities.
For citizens!
Including our immigrants.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last warning. If we continue to yell from the crowd, the meeting will be over and you'll be escorted out this way, please. We have 20 minutes left. I'd like to get to as many questions as we can.
So, can I just respond to that real quickly? There is a lot of social science data that can be submitted.
And I'm going to keep my hands away from it.
Litigating these claims
Damn it.
from the federal district court.
Thank you.
And the federal district court will allow each of the sides to designate their experts. Their experts will be deposed. They will be allowed to testify. And the finder of fact, in those cases, will have something important that needs to be
Don't
said
forget
at
me.
this point because things are getting a little hot in here. When we set this up, it was our intention to try to represent honestly each of the various perspectives that were litigated. The state perspective, the federal perspective, the law enforcement perspective, to give you an honest evaluation of the state of the litigation without arguing whether the federal district judge was a lunatic or a genius. We're just trying to give of all of these various sides. And if we can't listen to each other as we state those various perspectives, we will never, at least whether we agree with each other or not, understand the various perspectives. That's really the purpose of the meeting tonight. That's why the three of us up here have not expressed our personal preferences, have not expressed our personal opinions. We tried to give you an honest statement of the law. I've tried to give you an honest status of the litigation, and law enforcement has tried to tell you, here is the world in which we live, and that we have to enforce. So we understand that there are strongly held views about that, but we have to listen to each other respectfully as we share those views, even though we strongly disagree with each other on some of those views.
You have no standing.
And we're in the back right now. Sure.
My name is Chris Aaron. I've lived in Glendora for approximately 15 years, on and off. I'd like to know what part of illegal is not understood.
Notice how he skipped me. Notice how he skipped me.
Park 801.
Yeah. I did have a couple last questions, and these won't be opinions really at all. I don't want to kind of ramble on. I was just wondering, to the sheriff, he talks about ICE detainers requests. How long do those usually take? And they do require a judge to sign off for them. So would it be that if you release them in 48 hours, most of the time judges do not write warrants or go through and make detainers in less than 48 hours? Also, for the lady over there, isn't it also true that we have an overcrowding of prisons in California?
Yep.
Didn't we have a bill a couple years ago that released a lot of non-violent offenders? And bringing in illegals, even if they're not crimes that can be deportable, we still have to pay for them. Wouldn't that just increase the prison population? Finally, the economics about it. People forget that Mexico's #1 gross domestic product is remittances. $73 billion a year are sent back from here to Mexico every year. Okay, and that's money away from us. And finally, I would wonder if the only member of the city council that supported SB 54, if she's letting any illegals sleep next to her kids at night.
So I can answer the first question. The first question is, ICE detainers are not issued by judges, they're issued administratively.
By who?
By an ICE administrator.
By the ICE immigration officer. I think one of the things, just to add to that, is that there are multiple ways that arrest warrants and things like that can be issued. And so a detainer request absolutely is issued administratively by ICE, the immigration officers. A judge, a federal court, can issue an arrest warrant or a seizure warrant. And the status, the burden of proof, which I'm sure if you need an explanation on that, or we've got an expert here, is different. And so it's one of the reasons why when I was kind of talking about my comments, currently the existing state of law is that there are certain things like detainer requests where compliance is at the discretion of state and local law enforcement, versus if a judge issues a order, compliance is actually required. And so there's a little bit of a difference there. So I hope that provides a little bit of clarification.
Okay.
And a reminder for the group, please ask a question.
Okay, so I affirm, yes, I do have 3 questions and my hands are not touching the microphone. Okay, so I promise. Okay, first of all, do you not understand why we wonder if you're nonpartisan? Because I keep hearing this term undocumented immigrant.
Sir, question, please.
You know, do you not understand? They're illegal aliens. So why do you keep calling them undocumented immigrants? Second of all, what role can the National Guard start playing? I'm asking the fiscal analyst here to go to that border and start enforcing our immigration laws, and how much money would that save us? Yeah. And last of all, because every elected or appointed official takes an oath to the United States Constitution, why is there still this long-standing legal discrepancy in a court when all of our elected officials have to do is say, we have an oath to the Constitution which overrides, yes, it trumps state law, so we will just continue to abide. In fact, that's what that's what the city of Orange did.
Question, please.
So the city of Orange issued a stay of compliance. Why doesn't Glendora do the same and just continue to abide by federal law? Yeah. Tell me about the National Guard. How much would it save us?
Didn't get an answer.
Why are you not answering? I asked you a question. I asked her a question.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
I asked her a question. Would you please answer it?
So in regards to the National Guard, we are not the policymakers of the state. The decision to use the National Guard or to use resources is a decision that is made by the legislature
But the cost.
and the governor's office.
Tell me about cost, though.
Similarly, if I might finish, similarly in the same way that a city's policy or city's stance is the decision of your locally elected officials. And so it's one of the reasons that you elect individuals to make policies. In regards to your other question about the fiscal, I think I've kind of addressed previously that our office has not done a robust analysis of immigration. I am not discounting any of the viewpoints that have been shared today. I am just clearly saying, and I'm being honest, from a nonpartisan perspective, we have not done that analysis. I cannot speak to that when we haven't done that analysis.
Why do you keep saying undocumented and not illegal? Why?
Sir.
Why? That's a question I asked. Why do you say undocumented and not illegal alien?
The questions about SB 54.
But that falls under it because it could affect the enforcement.
Thank you.
Would you please? They want to answer. Surprise, surprise.
Hi, my name is Cheryl. I've lived here since.
All right, or she lose her job.
The reason I came to the meeting was because I wanted to find out about the vote that was already taken by the city councils. So I guess I'm directing it to our city attorney. There was 4 no votes against the sanctuary city and 1 that wanted it. Where are we now? What happens now? I mean, because they've already voted, but somebody had a problem with it. So they didn't trust our city council and that their vote would be right. So now what happens?
So,
they've already voted. Is there going to be another vote, or where are we?
So let me tell you, let me give you the background. The issue before the city council was, should the city council become a friend of the federal district court by filing a brief urging prompt resolution? The council, on a vote of 4 ayes and 1 nays, elected to take a position as a friend of the court, to urge the court to promptly resolve the issues. We joined with other cities in that effort, and the federal district court said, I have got so many amicus briefs, I don't need any more. So thank you very much for your help, but I don't need it and I don't want it. So we
They
were.
actually said they didn't want it?
The court actually rejected our motion to file an amicus brief. We were never allowed to state our opinion.
So what happens?
So nothing happens now. The case has gone up on appeal. As I said earlier, all of the sides of the issue, given the number of amicus briefs that have been filed so far, and to refresh my recollection from my cheat sheet, 30 amicus briefs have been filed so far. So that will argue every conceivable issue you've heard here tonight. Every conceivable issue will have been argued by one of the respective friend of the court parties.
Over here, everyone.
Hello, my name is Brian. This question is for the city attorney. You said that an amicus brief is filed when someone has pertinent information for the case or something, new information, something big. What was the new information that the city had that wasn't already filed?
So an amicus brief asks the court for permission to provide a particular perspective. And sometimes they want to argue facts, sometimes they want to argue law. Our point in asking the court for permission to be an amicus was to say, this is a highly sensitive and controversial subject, i.e., look at us here tonight. And you can't sit on this case forever. This case has got to be promptly resolved, it's got to be moved up the appellates, and as we all know, it's going to end up before the Supremes.
Thank God.
So let's move the process along. That was our point of trying to intervene, to say, this is an urgent issue, let's not around. Why isn't that intuitive? What you don't appreciate is that civil actions in federal courts can take up to 5 years to get to trial. The court systems are overwhelmed with both criminal and civil litigation, both state and federal. So we thought it would be helpful. Obviously, the district judge didn't want our help, but we thought it would be helpful to urge him to move the process forward. Sorry?
My question is for the commander. Does ICE still have a presence or a desk inside of the LA County jails?
No.
Oh, Lord.
This one's probably best suited for Anita Lee. I know that you said that your guys' agency hasn't done enough research on the economics of whether it's beneficial or detrimental to our state. You guys ever look at reports from other
Sir, please let him finish.
From other agencies that are doing their own reports?
Yes, we do. So we sometimes do our own research on certain issues, but lots of times our office is not huge and we don't have unlimited resources.
Really?
So we do look at studies that are done by interest groups, stakeholders, academics. We look at them across the board. We also try and look at balanced perspectives. And so the analysts in our office will do kind of a robust look. And that will also oftentimes take quite a bit of time as well. When we do look at the studies, we look at it from sort of an academic perspective. And by that I mean, we do see if we can understand the methodology. Sometimes that involves us calling up who did the study and asking them how that happened. And then identifying what were some of the assumptions that were made, or what was the data source that was used, et cetera, so that we really understood kind of what was behind that. And so one of the reasons why I bring that up is no study is perfect in a lot of different areas. There are challenges in a lot of different policy areas with getting to conclusions. And so we do try and kind of balance that. And so when we do provide advice to the legislature, this is broader on issues, we do try and provide multiple perspectives. Or if we're presenting data and there are some clear assumptions or there's some clear gaps, we also highlight that as well. And so that's kind of how we try and strike that balance of nonpartisanship. I don't know if that answers your question.
Ready?
Hi, quick question. Will the implementation of SB 10 have any impact on the equation on how LA County sheriffs or local law enforcement agencies report to WISE for those cases where they do have to report? SB 10, by the way, is the implemented bail reform.
Is that a question for me? Now you're really going to throw a wrinkle on this whole thing. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, SB 10 is the new proposal or law that maybe will come into effect unless it's held over for another year. I believe next October of 2019 for bail reform, meaning that you will not be able to bail out of jail anymore on, with your own money. It's either going to be probation or some other agency that will do an assessment on every person getting, or most people getting arrested. Certain criteria, I can't get into all that right now. How it's going to affect us in the jails, it shouldn't affect SB 54 or how we deal with ICE or turning people over to them. We're not even sure how it's going to affect our population in the jail right now, because there's going to be a risk assessment on, which is going to give an assessment on every single individual getting arrested, whether they stay in jail or not. We don't even know what that tool is yet. Nobody's told us what the tool is yet, so we can't really work with anything right now. Hopefully that answers your question. And you know what? I don't want to open something else, but just going back to your yes, no was kind of, I didn't want to cut you off and just say no. So just so you know, there's SB 54 does not allow for ICE to have a permanent office, okay, in our jails.
How about temporary?
We do have an office that we provide to all law enforcement agencies or officers that go there, including ICE, if they so wish to be in the jails. So hopefully that answers your question a little better than just no. So they are allowed in there and to use an office, but it's not their office. Pre all these 287G, they did have offices in our building. They don't any longer. Because the law does not allow them to have that.
There now?
Yes.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, one more question back here.
Hi, I've been a Glendora resident since I was 5, I guess, so I've been since 1965. I also attended church here, and I have a large family. And in Glendora, in my family and in my church, we are Democrats and Republicans. We differ on this issue. And so my question is this, and it's to all of you, actually. I can imagine in your work, you have to come up with ways to work together across the aisle with differing opinions. What advice, so we're starting a residence group, and one of the things we want to do is find the ways that we can work together to support legal immigrants, help people walk through the process. What advice would you give the citizens in Glendora, our city council, how we can find common ground
Call ICE
to help our residents?
Romans 13. Promptly shoot all.
Hey, sir.
Call ICE. Call ICE. I agree to do that. Do you agree to do that? Call ICE.
No, you cannot say that, sir. Please, impeach the
Oh,
press.
brother.
No.
Oh, is that why they're saying undocumented immigrant? Because illegal is hate speech?
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last question of the evening. And after the answer, yes.
Is that what you wanted to know?
Yes, absolutely. Then no one will come. So shoot them all. We can make our own topic. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
As we approach the last part, please remain civil to each other. Tonight, comments don't help either, sir.
He was
helping. Please be respectful.
He was helping.
And I'd look to the panel if they want to answer the question, if there's any advice.
Advice. How can we work together?
Oh my gosh.
If we can sit down with each other and listen to our differing, strongly held views and articulate our different and strongly held views with kindness and with clarity, God help us all.
All right, one more question over here.
I have a question and you decline to state on this matter. But my question is, what is Glendora Police Department's current stance on SB 54?
I am sure that Glendora must comply with the law.
That's not the
And
question.
The law in a general law city is to comply with SB 54, although
Which means not.
that's the best I can say. You'd have to ask the law enforcement director.
They opposed it. They opposed it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this evening. Can you give one more round of applause to our speakers?
No, I can't. I really can't.
Photo of you guys holding the quilts in the
Okay.
chairs.
Okay.
Here, just.
Okay. I get.
Evelyn, could you come up and say
I've got your statement that you wrote for court. I'm going to give that to you, so don't go. I'm going to give it to you. I am so tired of hearing about how can we come together and find common ground. There's right or wrong. Either you agree with it or you don't. I'm fed up with it.
sitting down holding the quilt? I'm going to take it in the chairs.
God, that's very offensive. And that okay, are you ready? Whenever you're ready. He's got one, and here's one.
Yeah, you guys stand up on the second row. Yeah.
Keep moving, guys. Keep moving. Come on in. You know, okay. We got to squeeze in a little.
Too many people right here. Could you go on the road behind them? I can't get a photo.
Okay, what do you want us to do?
Why don't we go on that side?
We should stand against that wall. What are you gonna do?
I'm not doing anything until I know.
You're indecisive.
I know, very. Let someone else make the decisions. I'm too terrified. We should sit. We sit. See, that's what you do. I knew what to do.
We don't want to see your face.
Lowers yours. Lower yours a little.
I'm gonna break the picture.
Just a little. You know, can we discuss how we can bring Kate Steinle back to life? If we can discuss that, then I guess we can find some common ground.
I did mention that.
You did. You know, when somebody's dead, there's no middle ground.
I stress it, alien.
Yeah. When somebody's dead, you want to bring them to life? I mean, this was good. This had the opposite effect. That lady right there was trying to shame the city council members who did this, and it didn't work out. In fact, they got more support.
That's right.
And who was? Yeah, there's one of them who voted for it. Thank you. Unfortunately, there's only 2 cities in Los Angeles County who have taken a stance.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, I got to give you the statement. I just want to say that this was the city and this was the mayor. We appreciate your taking the stance against this sanctuary state law, and we hope that you persevere. Thank you very much.
Just I thought it was last night, so I didn't come
And so they were talking to, right, he's getting the left-wing perspective on everything, you can tell. I don't know, I want to, okay. You got it, okay. I have to ask that guy.
No.
Yes.
I have the towel.
Okay. I just want him to give me his statistics on this.
And so, what I think is
I wonder if he's going to give me a moment of his time. So this is the professor right here who says that more immigration saves us money and makes us safer. If he'll, oh, okay. Pitzer. Oh, okay, got it. I wonder if he's going to filibuster me.
And Armando Navarro.
Oh, really?
Both Armando Navarro and Kevin De Leon.
Oh, jeez.
The Brown Power lady.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Him and De Leon both graduated from Pittsburgh.
Ah, I see. Oh my God. Maybe. Oh, they're a private college, so we're not paying for it. Okay. Yes. So this is the professor who makes the argument that more immigration makes us safer and saves us money. I got to hear this.
You're right, we're on the same page. Why especially
Well, I'm saying why not separate
I'm trying to, but I'm agreeing with what she has to ask too, so when you're finished.
Because I agree with you too. I'm just hearing both sides
Yeah,
right here.
and I'm trying to understand, because I want him to give me these resources that suggest lots. Would you please tell me?
I gave you one.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it because you as a, let me finish. You as a professor are teaching young minds that it's okay to have open borders and not secure immigration laws. Is that correct?
That's because he's got his head buried in the sand.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Would you share, what are these resources that you're citing that suggest we should have open borders and let everybody come in?
I never said you got your head up. Yes, you do.
Why? Wait a minute, no. You.
I'm going to talk with you when you're calling names. We don't know that.
Okay. You're teaching young minds, sir, that we should have unfettered immigration and there should be no consequence for people breaking into our country. Do you lock your door at night? Do you have a wall? Suddenly the professor doesn't want to talk. Usually they love to talk.
Whatever it was, it was
Excuse me.
here where Costco was.
Interesting. You know, that
Okay.
I'm an immigrant and my parents.
Professor, would you give us the information that substantiates your very controversial views? Me journal, chapter, page. Do you lock your door at night? Do you have like an open door policy for your home?
Communist.
Wow, he suddenly wants to be like buffered and protected and doesn't want to be held accountable. Okay. All right. Do you lock your door at night, sir? Or do you want to provide us some kind of information as to where you get this idea to secure our borders and send a clear message as Mexico and Guatemala and Colombia and even China, which has a wall, or Israel that has 2 walls? Are you suggesting that those countries are misinformed and they are enacting policies that are... Would you just give me the resources? You're a professor. Don't you have research that you can share with the public to explain why you justify such an extremely controversial and unfounded argument? You're a professor. Don't you have the research? Why can you not tell us? You are an academic. You're supposed to be teaching young minds, not Would you tell me yes or no? Do you have an answer? Oh, so you're just spouting your opinion, basically. Got it? You're willing to talk to him, but you can't explain to the rest of the public where you get this idea from that we should have no secure borders, that we should allow anybody to cross over, that people can commit countless crimes, that someone can commit domestic violence and they can be released back onto our streets. Has anyone in your family been affected or hurt by an illegal yet? Wow. This, as soon as you confront an academic like this, they run away. He made it. Fernando, good job.
ask you a simple question.
Can you tell me why you said I was bullying him? How was I bullying him? He's a big boy. He can take it. That's what academics do.
They're not, academics
Did you say I tried? I tried so hard.
Academics sit there on their tenure, make $150,000 a year, teach kids that are 18 years old that were coddled since they were children in T-Wall given participation.
Right. Okay.
We have created a society of children. We've created a society of false accusations where anything is believed.
Oh, she called me a bully. She says I'm a bully. I'm a bully because I'm confronting an academic on false data. Why? I'm allowed to. Too bad, it's a public place. You called me a bully without cause. That's bullying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm feeling bullied. I'm a victim. Please. Okay, hi. You're with the citrus people too? Yes. Okay, got it. That's fine. All right, I guess I better wrap up. All right, folks. I know you got to go home. I don't blame you.